Welcome to the YCN Game of the Week, brought to you by LaValle Building Supply. We're here at Marion Field in Newport, New Hampshire to watch Division III semifinal action between the top-seeded Newport Tigers and second-ranked Bow. Now, Bow's coming into the game after a pretty scary quarterfinal with a 21-12 win over Stevens. Newport, on the other hand, coming off a big 56-12 win over Somersworth. So this, Jeremy, has the makings to be another one-sided game, potentially.
It's going to be an interesting game. Both teams can score over 39 points for Bow averaging and over 40 points averaging for Newport. So it could be one-sided, or we could just see a lot of points for both teams on the board.
Yeah, and this is a cold, cold day, but these are two teams that love running the ball. So I don't think these temperatures and this wind should affect these teams very much. So stay tuned for kickoff from your YCN Game of the Week. Welcome back to the YCN Game of the Week, brought to you by LaValle Building Supply. I'm Mike Pizzone, joined in the booth by Jeremy Stout. And Jeremy, it seems like it's just yesterday we were looking at preseason practices over the summer, but the Division III semifinals are officially underway here in Newport, and the Tigers looking to get back to the championship game for a second straight season. So a good return by the Falcons. They'll start at about the 20-21 yard line. And we'll see what this Falcons team is made up of.
Yeah, this Falcons team comes in with a regular season record of 7-1 and 8-1 on the season after defeating the Stevens Cardinals last week in the first round of the playoffs, as you mentioned in the pregame. And let's not sell this team short. Newport really is a top team in Division III, but the Falcons are a force to be reckoned with today.
Absolutely. But like we mentioned in our intro, they are a team just like Newport that really prides itself in its ability to run the ball. They have a few different backs that are capable of pounding that defensive line and getting some positive yards, as you see right here on this first play from scrimmage. That was Jake Harkins on the carry, gain of about 6 yards it looks like. So Harkins, he's been a big part of this Falcons offense this season.
The number one back that you'll normally see is Chris Robbins for the Falcons. He led the team with 1,018 rushing yards, and that was good for third place in Division III. He also scored 13 rushing touchdowns, second only behind Newport's Noah Wade.
So second down and 4 as Harkins hands it off once again to his brother Harkins. And I think the ball is loose. Newport's on the pile. We'll see which way the officials go. And they're going to say the Falcons have come up with the ball, but still a good defensive play early by these Tigers.
And the Falcons dodging a big bullet there, because this Newport Tigers defense, as we've seen multiple games and all season, the defense can really bring the heat. Not only just the offense scored a lot of points, but as Coach McElreavy said earlier, the defense puts the offense in these positions to score, so let's not forget about them.
And we saw that last week in this quarterfinal game against Somersworth. I mean, the Newport defense was just relentless on Somersworth's first 3 or so drives of the game, forcing some turnovers and just taking advantage of really solid field position. As that pitch goes to number 15, that's Justin Mooney on the carry, and that's going to be enough for, well, we'll see. Yep, that's enough for Bow first down, so they'll move the chains here on their first possession of the day.
You see number 28 for Newport, Noah Wade, making the tackle on that defensive stand. He's obviously a two-way player for this Tigers, standout senior.
So with two teams who love running the ball like this does have the potential to be kind of a low-scoring game as the clock continues to wind here. That handoff goes to number 5, it looks like, so that's Christopher Robbins. So that's going to be a gain of about 6, it looks like. Set up a second down and 4.
And the thing we'll have to be looking for, obviously, Bow moving the ball nicely on this first drive, but if this Newport offense does, get into gear and start pulling away, scoring points, what will that Bow offense do? They don't want to abandon the run because that's what's got them here all season, but sometimes teams obviously have a tendency, getting down early, to revert back to passing, try and picking up big chunks of yardage. But as we see right now, obviously, Bow has moved the ball nicely.
Harkins takes a snap under center, hands it off that time to number 44, Jack Coraview. But that one's going to be stopped well behind the line of scrimmage, so another good job by the Newport defense there.
And as I say, they move the ball nicely, they go backwards a yard.
Well, to your point, we haven't seen Bow throw the ball yet. Like you've said, they're a team that loves to run the ball, and that's all we've seen from them so far. Obviously, no need to throw the ball at this point with the 0-0 score, just about 9 minutes to go in the first quarter. But the Falcons facing a third down and 4, looking to extend the drive with a potential second first down of the drive. Harkins takes the snap, drops back to pass, lets one fly, and it looks like that's going to be complete on the sideline and enough for a first down. So just like that, we mentioned they hadn't thrown the ball yet. Harkins lets one go, and that's complete for a first down for the Falcons.
Yeah, that's Corvo with the reception. He added 9 regular season rushing touchdowns for this team. So we've seen him out of the backfield, and that's obviously his first catch of the day. But they really have that three-headed attack, so to speak, for the Falcons that have really helped them so far this season.
Once again, Matthew Harkins under center, takes a snap, pitches that one back off to number 15, Justin Mooney, and Mooney is going to be brought down for about a gain of 2, it looks like. So still continuing to get positive yards on these first down plays, and that's key to making these first downs possible.
Well, the biggest thing, obviously, you're moving the chains, you're getting first downs, getting closer to the end zone, but the secondary thing is you're keeping this Newport defense on the field, and as we mentioned, Noah Wade, two-way player, he's on the field, tiring them out, keeping the ball out of their hands. So you got a pretty good drive to start for this Falcons team.
And that's an interesting point, as a lot of these Tigers players are two-way players. C.J. Lawrence, number 34, he's on the field right now. Number 80, that's Steven Nix, who plays both ways. Jack Dow, he's going both ways for the Tigers. So that is a good point to kind of consider, that the longer this Newport defense is on the field, I wonder what that potentially could take away on the offensive side of the ball.
And then you also wonder, if that gets into their head as well. I mean, I don't know. I don't have the drive stats for the season for the Tigers, but I know from watching many of their games, they don't give up a lot of sustained drives early in the game. It might be later in the game when they're already put it away. They're up 3 or 4 touchdowns, or they might have a big play here and there, but they don't give up a lot of these drives that are taking big time and big yardage.
So the Falcons facing a 3rd down and 1. That handoff goes up the middle, and that looks like it's going to probably have the distance for a first down. Not sure exactly who was on the carry on that play, but that will be enough for a first down. So once again, the Falcons moving the chains and keeping the clock going at the same time as we approach 7.5 minutes to go here in the first quarter.
Excuse me, go ahead.
I was just going to say, a reminder to tune in every week for the River Valley and Kearsarge Chronicles for the who, what, where, and when shows of the region. They premiere at 7:30 p.m. every Tuesday and Thursday right here on YCN, your local view. Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, I was just going to say the Bow Falcons, no stranger to the playoffs. Last year, they lost in the semifinals to eventual champion Campbell, and the year before that, they were the champions, beating Stevens in the finals.
I do remember that from 2 years ago. That was the first year of the big realignment down to 3 divisions in the state, and I actually went down there and saw the Falcons in a very close first half, but Bo ended up pulling away for the big championship win there in the inaugural season for Division III football. So like you said, yeah, historically they've been in the mix all 3 years so far.
And that year that Stevens lost in the championship, I believe that was the year that they beat this Newport team in the start back up, as you mentioned, of Division III and the rivalry of the playoff, or the big exhibition matchup. Now then it became a regular season matchup between Newport and Stevens.
That's a good point, as the Falcons facing a 2nd down and 4. That handoff was to number 44, Korovu, and he was able to stay on his feet after taking that initial hit, but stopped for a gain of about 1. It's going to set up a 3rd and 3, it looks like.
This Falcons squad, their only loss on the season was to the Winnisquam team, who is the number 1 seed in the South Division. They lost 33-21, and that basically is what put them in this seeding and made them go on the road to Newport, where they could have been the number 1 seed, as Winnisquam is, and they're hosting a game today as well.
And that's a team that a lot of people expect to advance to UNH next week for that championship. The Falcons once again hand the ball off, facing a 3rd down and 3, and I think that's going to be a stop. A good hit by number 44 on the Tigers. That's Jake Dow on the tackle. And that's going to set up a 4th down for the Falcons. So a good job by the Newport defense. They were bending, but they certainly didn't break. We'll see what the Falcons choose to do here with pretty good field position. They're on the 37-yard line. So, Jeremy, what do you do here? Are you punting? You've had a lot of success on the ground. You going for this 4th and 3, or what's the mindset as a coach here?
I think you got to go for it here. You've had a lot of success. Got inside the 45 of Newport. It's kind of stalled out here. Newport maybe changed up their defense to key on that run. But I think you got to go for it here, and then you say, okay, in defense, it's time to take over if we can't get it here.
And it looks like you're right as Harkins is under center, but movement in the Bow backfield, that's going to be a false start on the Falcons. That's going to back them up 5 yards.
Well, I think the refs are going to talk about this just in case. It looked like the 44, I don't know what the legality is, but it was going in motion, and then maybe somebody jumped off sides or then false started. We'll have to see what the call is.
And they're going to call that a false start against the Falcons, so that's going to back them up 5 yards. Now, Jeremy, does this change your decision as a head coach, or are you still in that field position beyond midfield where you think, may as well still go for it?
I think you still can go for it here. You're on the other side of the field, as you mentioned. You know, you're inside 5 minutes, so you've taken up a lot of clock in this first quarter. You're going to give Newport not much time to work with in this first quarter, but it looks like maybe they're bringing the punting unit on here.
It looks like you're right as we see Steven Nix and Noah Wade in the backfield set to return this punt. That looks like number 16, Alexander Huiker, back to punt for the Falcons. Takes the snap, it's a high one. Still gets the kick away. It looks like it's going in Wade's direction. Wade calls for the fair catch. And the Tigers are going to set up for their first drive of the game at about the 13-yard line. So we'll take a quick break from our YCN Game of the Week. Welcome back to the YCN Game of the Week, brought to you by LaValle Building Supply. I'm Mike Pizzone, joined by Jeremy Stout. And Jeremy, for the first time today, we're going to see the Tigers' offense on the field as they're set up on the 13-yard line.
First time today. A long drive there by the Falcons, over 8 minutes.
Dylan McNamara here's the ball off to Wade, and Wade just picking up where he left off from the quarterfinal game. A nice 6-7 yard gain on first down. That's going to be a first down in itself. So a good 10-11 yard gain on his first carry of the game. Literally picking up right where he left off.
As you mentioned, right where he leaves off from last week, 284 rushing yards for Wade on 11 rushing attempts, and 5 of them ended in touchdowns. So that's pretty incredible when you have almost a 50% touchdown ratio on the rushing attempts.
As C.J. Lawrence gets the carry on this snap, gains about 3. Lawrence also coming off a big game in the quarterfinals where he scored 3 touchdowns. So to know you have that two-headed horse, 5 touchdowns out of Wade, 3 touchdowns out of Lawrence. Nick's got a few carries also for some big yards. I mean, this is a team with so much depth at that back position. Yeah,
Lawrence gaining 111 yards last week in the quarterfinal game, as you mentioned, and then also he's ranked 5th in Division III with 569 rushing yards in the regular season. And so to have 2 guys in the top 5 on your team shows you have a great offensive line and you got some great depth.
So McNamara under center facing a 2nd down and 6. That handoff is going to go to Nix, number 80 for the Tigers. Tries to get around the corner, met by a handful of Bow defenders there, but that's still going to be a gain of about 2 yards. So that's going to set up a 3rd down and 4. So we've seen 3 running plays for the Tigers and 3 different carriers.
And that's what they can do. They have the depth. They can keep guys fresh. They can rotate guys in and out. And that's what carried them, like we said last week, in their 56-12 win over Somersworth. And what's carried them all season to that 8-0 regular season first place in the North Division 3.
So a 3rd down situation for the Tigers. Their first of the day, facing a 3rd down and 4. McNamara pitches that one off to Wade, and Wade's going to have the first down and a little bit more as he continues to move his feet up to the 45-yard line and just beyond. So Noah Wade, his 2nd carry of the day and 2nd first down, just continuing to do what he's known for.
16-yard rush there on the carry. Picking up the first down is Wade. He led all of Division III with 1,147 rushing yards in the regular season, and he finished 4th overall in the state of New Hampshire.
Just a reminder, if your business is interested in advertising on YCN or you'd like your team to be televised, give us a call or email at info@ycnnow.com. So McNamara set up under center once again. Ball sitting on the 46-yard line of Newport's half of the field. Got Nix in motion in the backfield. The pitch goes to Wade, and Wade slips in the backfield. There was a Bow defender there, but it looks like Wade just kind of lost his footing on this field that's seen a lot of action this fall. So that's going to be the first backwards moving play of the day for the Tigers, and that's going to set up a 2nd down and 13, it looks like.
And Wade will do that a lot, meaning cutting back and forth. Obviously, he doesn't do that falling down a lot, but he will cut back a lot. And on as you mentioned, this field not in the greatest of shape, that's what's going to happen every now and then. So, you know, you got to take the bad with the good, because 9 times out of 10 he breaks that for a 30-yard gain.
Oh, absolutely. And that's kind of to your point, as you see C.J. Lawrence get the handoff there. He's someone who'll take that snap and just pound the ball right up the middle, whereas Wade is more of the finesse kind of runner, likes to get to the outside, use his quick feet. So you can see why someone like Wade may have a little bit of trouble with this footing situation on the field, whereas Lawrence just ground and pound the ball right up the gut.
Right, and Nix, the third option we've already seen run once, he'll do a little bit of off-direction stuff, misdirection, maybe an end around or a sweep, something like that. So they have three different backs, three different styles, but really it all starts up front. I mean, give credit to this offensive line, and they really gelled together and looking for another trip to the finals after today's game.
So Newport on the Falcon side of the field at the 49-yard line as that pitch goes to Wade. Wade scampers back inside and gets up to about the 41-yard line. That's going to be enough for a Tigers first down. So continuing to move the chains, Jeremy.
Yeah, this Tigers team, they're going to run the ball. They're going to just, they're not even going to trick you. It's like the Kearsarge team that we've had on the YCN Game of the Week at least a couple times this year, and a lot of you viewers are probably familiar with that team. They have that offense where they've got 2 or 3 running backs, the quarterback can run, and they're not going to trick you. They're just going to beat you.
And that's what we've seen so far from both teams, sticking to what they know. As McNamara lined up under center. He's got Nix in motion in the backfield. He's got Lawrence and Wade lined up behind him. Takes the snap. That ball is going to go to Lawrence, and Lawrence going to pound it up the middle for another 4 or 5 yards. And that looks like it's going to be the final play of a very quick moving first quarter. So we'll take a quick break from our YCN Game of the Week.